Hello, hello. My name is Jordan. You might know me from Season 5 or All Stars 2. Certainly not from the Discord because I did disappear about 2 years ago and never really reemerged. So here I am in my annual reappearance on the subreddit. And I am one of your 2 guest judges for this week, Anarchy Week, and I am very excited to be here. I am filming outside today. It's the only place I could get some peace and quiet here. So unfortunately, peace and quiet means outdoor noises, and that's just how life is going to be today. So without further ado, let's move on to the critiques. So first, as a general thing, I do want to say all 4 of you had such a variety of videos. You each interpreted Anarchy in your own way, even Ianto and Alex, with you both going for a more lip sync for your life universe interpretation. You still gave me very unique versions of it. So watching all 4 of your videos this week was so fun, so interesting. Each of you really served something different, and it really made for a great viewing experience. So I just want to say you all did an amazing job. And with that, I'm going to go into the individual critiques, the first being Dixin Mei. So Dixin, right off the bat, I want to say you probably have the most technically difficult video with all the effects, as well as the most abstract conceptually. Now, with a video that is, like I said, is so conceptually abstract and much more focused on ideas and visuals rather than an overall story, the elements of the lip sync do have to make up for the fact that we don't have this story. We don't have as much of a plot. There was a plot. I was able to follow why the character was singing this. However, there wasn't we weren't watching a movie, we were watching a moment, if that makes sense. But I think that you did really well at making up for that. I never felt like I need more story. It worked. It stood on its own. So good job with that. I think you have such a unique voice and unique perspective and style when it comes to your video. Just the effects you did, the way everything looked, it felt very personal, and I think it's good to have such a unique and individual voice and perspective in any creative field. So I like that. As far as the specifics, I really like just the concept of these almost Rocky Horror-esque lips just over the face. That alone pulls you in immediately. It's, oh, this is going to be a different kind of video. It sets the tone right off the bat, as well as when you have your head down and you have this hood, and it's just the whole cloak is like overlaid with this black and white. I thought that was really fun and cool. I love a little vintage thrown in any video. It makes it a little more quirky to me. I like it. The whole video, I think what you excelled with the most is keeping it visually interesting. Not a lot happened. You spent the whole time with half of your face covered. Yes, it was covered by your mouth, but half of your face and the overall picture was covered. So you didn't have as much to work with, and not a lot happened in it. But you kept it visually interesting the whole time, so it never felt like nothing was happening, if that makes sense. I don't want it to sound bad. Your look itself behind the lips was very interesting. The bandage, was I getting I don't know if that's like a thing you do, or if it was like a nose job thing. I don't know. It was interesting though, I have to say. You clearly did a specific look for it, and I like that. Hi. Yeah, so I'm just gonna wait a second. I live by an airport, so yeah, so it's visually interesting the whole time. Like I said, you didn't have as much to work with. Your face was blocked. So even though you were lip syncing, which the lip sync itself was also very tight. So good job. Your lips, you knew all the words very well. Even with, like I said, with your face covered a lot of the time, you still managed to emote very well with the eyes. The first time I watched it, I was, at one point I was thinking, is there something else Dixin could be doing? But on the second and the third watch, I watched all these a few times, I was like, I really watched the eyes, and they would go from these dead, just almost glassed over, to these just wide Toni Collette hereditary eyes. And at points, you looked like you were in pain. And I think so, even with half your face covered, you did the most with what you had, and I really liked that as well. The one thing I'm going to be nitpicky about is I don't want to discount the time you spent doing the mouth and matching it with your face, because it had to have taken a while. I wouldn't know how to do it if I tried. However, when there were times when your face would go this way and the lips would follow and it would be this really clean look, and then a few seconds later, the mouth, the lips would be here and your face would be here with your actual lips, it kind of took me out of it at times. And I don't expect like a Hollywood studio, like just like you're making a video at home and you did a great job. However, I think there were times when you could have just polish it up a little bit more, just to clean it up a little bit, make it a more complete project. However, even with that, like I said, it didn't. One second. Sorry. But yeah, even with that, it was still very good. There were just times where I'm like, oh, I just wish the lips were moved a little. But other than that, it was a very good video. As I said, I think you did some really interesting things. You did an interesting interpretation of Anarchy. So overall, great job. And next up we have our returning contestant, Ianto. Ianto. First, I'm glad you did a Perfume Genius song. I think he's terribly underrated. I really like his music. He's one of my favorite sad boy queer musicians, so love it. Of the 4 videos this week, you gave the most textbook interpretation of Anarchy, and that it was you against the establishment. Anarchy for children. Oh, that was Forevy Lips, but we'll get to that. Yeah, it was the most expected idea of Anarchy. However, I say that in a good way, because you took that and you killed it. You gave us a very, very polished, well planned out, well performed video. So great job on that. Where do I start? Just as far as details go, you clearly put a lot of thought into it. The pictures in the background with like the eyes like blanked out, I think that was a really cool, creepy detail. It added a lot of subtext. It presented a whole lot of questions like, who is this psycho? And I like even just that. The flashing lights, another detail that I think was both. It was both not subtle in that it's a flashing light, it's not a subtle concept, but it was never distracting. It really just worked with the song to set the mood and the environment, and I really liked what that did for the overall presentation. The whole video had a really weird mood to it, and yes, that is just Perfume Genius. His listen to Long Pig, everybody. It's bananas, and I love it. But the whole video, it was dark and intense and kind of almost uncomfortable to watch. And I think a lot of that came from the fact that you had this spoken word political protest part in it. Like, you really went full Anarchy with it. But the mood worked really well. And from the start, when we see that when you lift up the hood and we see you're wearing a Tony mask, had that been done wrong, or had the mood just been a little more off, it might have come across like, what is he doing? This is silly. But the way you did it, it worked so well, and you somehow made Tony into an intimidating figure. I'm gonna get murdered for that. No, like, it was really creepy, and I liked it. I like creepy stuff. I like strange, and seeing the face, and it's just so, it was almost in the shadows, and your mouth, it worked really well. And yes, obviously there's the joke like, oh, you're wearing Tony's face, but had a complete stranger who doesn't know who Tony is watch that, it still works. It's just like, oh, he's wearing a face, that alone. So that was really cool. And I loved that throughout the video, your movements were synced up with some of the intense beats of the song. When you ripped off the mask, you like lift your hand at times. It was very theatrical. And I think it worked well with the overall presentation. I love, in my performance style, I love syncing up my movements to sounds and music. I think it just makes it more immersive. So I liked that you did that. And then at the end, with the chorus of the song fading out and the picture burning, it was such a haunting image to end it on, and I really liked the ending. I think it was such a great way to finish the whole story off. I love the way you incorporated the spoken word into the song. I've heard that song many times. It's one of my favorite songs of his, and once you started speaking over it, I was like, yeah, that's correct. I've just missed this part of the song this whole time. It worked really well. It felt correct. So I liked that a lot. My only real con with it was that I think the spoken word portions could have been just a little tighter. You didn't miss any words, and you clearly knew what you were saying, but just a little more practice, I think, could have really sharpened up those movements. And because it was such an intense speech, sharper lips and lip syncing could have just tied it up a little more tightly. Just I don't think it took away from the video, but it is something just in the future. Spoken word is hard, for sure, but it's that extra little effort and that extra bit of polish that can really seal the deal on a spoken word. Other than that, I was so impressed with this video. I'm really glad you came back. Just watching some of your videos from last season versus this video right here. So you clearly have grown as a performer and as a creator, and I'm really happy to see this product of yours. So great job. Next up we have Forevy Lips. First, I have to say, you have some of the most infectious, enthralling energy I've seen in a long time. This whole video was just such a fun watch, and you can tell watching it that you are having so much fun filming it, and I just had a big smile on my face the whole time. So I want to say that about you first. I think it was a really fun song choice. Ain't it fun? No pun intended. It's one of my favorite Paramore songs, so I love that you chose that. You had the most unexpected interpretation of Anarchy. You know, the other three went definitely darker with it, as most people would. It's Anarchy, it's not a light subject. But you lightened it, and I think it worked, and it's part of why I liked watching, because it was such a different view of Anarchy. And I will say, kids are far more terrifying than politics to me. I don't know how to handle those. So I like that. Yeah, the whole video, you did not do the whole song. I think it's like a 5-minute long song, so it's probably for the best. And as much as I love the song, it goes on for a while, especially near the end. Your video never got boring, so good job on that. It's 4 minutes of lip syncing. It's easy things to go to falter at times. Yours never did, and so good job on that, keeping that energy up. The whole thing, of course, was just a tracking, moving shot, and I think it was a really well done tracking shot. Especially at the beginning when you're crawling under the streamers and when it pulls back so it can take you walking into the kitchen. I think it was really well done. It was technical. Whoever was filming did a really good job. I've never done a tracking video before, so, props to you for doing that. I think it worked out really well for you. And even just like when you sat down in the kitchen after the first chorus, it added a lot of variety to it. So that was really nice too. When like toilet paper was being thrown and the camera shook, the little details here and there I think were a lot of fun. Even just what even the kids looked like they were having a great time, because of course they were. They got to half destroy a house for a video. Like, how fun. And their looks were all really cute and fun. I love Pikachu Girl. She was my favorite. yeah, this whole video it was a really good time to watch. I just have a couple critiques. My biggest one being, I had some trouble following your character's arc in that your emotions seemed to be like you're the whole time you looked like you were having a lot of fun there and you were enjoying it. I felt like it could have worked a little better if it had been more of kind of a progressive emotion in that, of right off the bat you hand them the house rules. They throw it. I would have gone, and I don't want to project what I would have done onto yours. I think it could have worked a little better if you had started out like overwhelmed, like, oh god, what do I do? And by the end, you were just so sold on the fun they're having that you just buy into it and you start the pillow fight. And I think it could have just kind of added a little something, but even without that, like I said, it never got boring. So you still made it work, even with pretty consistent emotion throughout. Most of your lip syncing was really good. At the very end there were a couple times where like, ain't it fun? And you were clearly lip syncing the word good. I've done that before. I'm guilty of it, but it is something to mention. But most of the time, you clearly knew the words. You just got a little tongue-tied at the end. Apologies for the cut. My camera ran out of storage for some reason, even though I just deleted a bunch of stuff. So I'm back. Yes, as I was saying, as well, at the end, the pillow fight was a really fun place to take the video when you're finally joining all the kids in their chaos and junior anarchy. It kind of went on for a while because by the end, that's just how you spent the whole rest of the video. And I don't think that was bad. However, at one point, it looked like you were just kind of running out of things to do with this pillow, and we're just kind of swinging it awkwardly at one point. It was fun to watch, and it still worked, but it looked like, to me, it looked like you didn't know what to do with the pillow after a certain amount of time, and how much can you do with the pillow? So, there's that, and then really, if I have to pick one thing to really critique, it's the ending. Ain't it fun? It's a long song and it just fades out at the end. So if you're going to do the fade out, then do the fade out, just fade the video out with it. I don't blame you for ending it because your video would have been a minute longer of just pillow fighting if you had just faded it out. So I think ending it abruptly works. However, I don't think it works the way you did it. I think the ending is the only weak point of the video. I like the choice you made of having the mom come back home, tying it all together since that's how it starts with her leaving. However, at the beginning, the voicemail, the volume is correct. It makes sense. It works. At the end, the song just ends and she's there and her voice is twice as loud as the song was, and everyone doesn't look, they all just kind of keep their smiles. I think if you're going to have that ending, you need to, one, have everyone react more like, oh no, we've been caught having fun, something like that, as well as, I think you could have made it into a funnier moment. This is a cliche, but even like a record scratch, I think, could have been a funny way to end it. Just something to transition from the abrupt ending to the mom walking back in. Just something like that. I think you could have just kind of polished the ending a little bit, but conceptually, it was very funny. And overall, I said I had a really good time, and I really liked this video, so great job. Next up, we have Alex Luxe, who I love the name of, by the way, so there's that. The first thing I have to say, Alex, is you did have what the lip sync for your life community would call a long intro. And if anyone famously knows long intros, is Jordan. Season 5, I was the queen of the long intros because I liked context and I like to create a full picture, and sometimes I can't lip sync that. However, I will say, even though you did have a long intro, it didn't go on for too long. It was only, I looked, it was exactly 30 seconds before we got back to you. So, as I guess, I don't even, some people might not even call it a long intro. There's a long intro. But I think you did it just long enough to where it was fine, and it worked. I don't think it took away from the video. I didn't get bored waiting for it to start. And even when you were doing your little like phone call, like, I've got him, the song had started playing, and I think that was a great way to extend the intro without feeling like we're still waiting on the lip sync, especially when you're just like standing there and then you go whoo, like with the song. I thought that was really fun, and it smoothed out the transition between the intro and the lip sync itself. I also really like that you had a full story there. Of course, it was all in this lip sync universe. I liked the little boardroom meeting. It was fun. And having Tony come in later, like it gave the whole thing an arc. I think you had the most clear-cut story progression of them all. Even just at the end taking the crown, like, great fuck you moment. I love it. So great job on that. The whole time, I also want to say you had energy the whole time. Most of the lip sync was just you against the wall lip syncing, but you kept your energy up the whole time. It never faltered. You gave face the whole time. You were connected to the words and the song, and it made it entertaining. It was a few minutes of you just kind of standing there before you brought the binoculars out, and you filled it with that energy and that performance, and it worked. I also love the like the bricks and like the shadow. It made it kind of immersive, like, oh, he's a spy. He really is in this like dingy dungeon, like, or I guess it wouldn't be a dungeon. You're like looking from afar, but you know what I mean. So I think that was really good at kind of building the environment. And I like the song choice as well. Like, it fits with the theme. The song itself is great, so great job as well. A few cons. I had no idea what you were saying at the beginning when you were on the phone. You were talking so quietly. It reminded me of when I was in high school. I used to like film these like random like skits for YouTube by myself in my room. And I would talk so quietly in some of them because my mom was in the other room and I didn't want her to hear the weird stuff I was doing. It reminded me of that almost. I don't know if you were just trying to be quiet or if you just were. I would have at least tried to have raised the volume on that audio just so we could hear you a bit better, because it was really hard to understand what you were saying, and I wanted to be a part of this whole plot. I also wish you would have smoothed out the transition from the song playing kind of in the background of you talking to the actual lip sync. The volume burst really fast out of nowhere. It just abruptly changed, and I think you could have just faded it into being louder, just something a little smoother. I also, even though yes, you gave great energy and face during these couple minutes of not having a prop or anything, and I don't think you need props or reveals to have a good lip sync. Just a person and a camera can make an incredible lip sync. However, with the way you did this video, with the little animations, with the binoculars, with the gun, with the post-credit scene of you with the crown, with the way you did it and already having props, already having these other little things, I think you could have added a little something in there. I don't know what, but with the way the rest of the video was done, I think it would have made sense, and just given the video given the video just a little bit more variety, if you would just another prop or something. I have mixed feelings about the glue gun. Like, it worked because the whole video was very silly, but I kind of wish you would more gone for it, because like you brought up this glue gun and it's like, oh, and you just kind of going like, if you're gonna have a glue gun, treat it like a high caliber pistol, like really go for it, really put your body into it. You had the special effects kind of the gunshot, so just maybe a little bit more with that would have just kind of sold it. You licked it. I don't know if I liked it or not, but it's something I would have definitely done if I had made this video, so I gotta respect it. I deep-throated a taco. What are you gonna do? And then the ending, I liked the choice of taking the crown and just kind of posing with it. It was very much a, hi, I'm a bad bitch, and this is who I am today. I feel like at the very end, with you just looking at the camera, it almost went on like a second too long. Like, it almost felt like you were watching yourself do it, and you almost got, it was like Alyssa Edwards, you got too into what you were doing. I don't know. It wasn't a bad ending at all. It didn't mess up the video. It felt almost like a second too long. I don't know. Just that. But overall, a lot of fun. You're a performer, and it was really fun to watch you. I like this video. You clearly have a lot of talent and a lot of chops. Just, you know, this few little things here and there. Nobody's perfect, not even Hannah Montana. So yeah, those are my overall opinions about anyone. I always hate just being a critical person. So any critiques are not anything personal or a dig against you as a performer or a creator. Just little things I think you could fix. And the fact that I bring any of my downsides of the videos up is because I think it's something any of you could easily fix, easily improve upon, because the four of you are all such strong performers, and I was so impressed with these videos. I'm famously have been garbage this whole season about keeping up with all the videos, so I am gonna really just have to go back and watch everyone's just so I can really experience the overall season-long growth of everyone. But I can tell you where you're at right now, you all four fully deserve to be in the top four, and whichever three of you make it to the finals, you fully deserve it. You are all such great lip syncers, and I hope you all continue to make videos for the subreddit because you're really great, and I'm honored I got to guest judge for you on this Anarchy week. And yeah, maybe you'll see me around more if I decide to stop being a hermit. We'll see. Yeah, this was me, and fade out.